Thank you, sir. You're welcome. All right, so this panel session is really about data privacy, data governance, and ethical decision making. So I'll be asking the question, and you permit me to sit down for now. Thank you. All right, so every one of us who've been here today, and most of the conversation has really been around machine learning, business analytics, data science. I think it was only Berkeley Group that spoke a bit about data management. So this panel is just to help us understand that there is more to data and there's something about data management. And if we remember, in June this year, the what do they call them? Legislature, they signed into law the Nigerian Data Privacy Act, which tells us that privacy in data in Nigeria is becoming very, very important. And as data people, we need to understand what's going on and learn how to make the best use of it. So my question will start with Mr. Ayo. In a data-driven era, as we are, how do we connect the dots between data governance, data quality, privacy, and analytics? A lot of people are focused on analytics, AI, business intelligence, and everything, but then there's a place of privacy for the customers, data quality, and governance. So how do we connect the dots?
All right, so thank you for the question. So I'd say that I'm sure we've heard about the golden rule, GIGO, right, GIGO, which says garbage in, garbage out, right? So with data, it's actually garbage in and garbage out. So regardless of the analytics or analysis or artificial intelligence or data science you want to do, if the data is not of good quality, right, your output would not be relied on. Your output will not be relevant and it will not be useful. So as much as it's important to focus on, yes, this is what I want to do with the data in terms of analytics, in terms of data science, as much as you want to build those, fancy dashboards, build that state-of-the-art ML AI model, if the underlying data, right, is not accurate, if it's not relevant, if it's not clean, for the lack of a better word, if it's not reliable, then everything you're building, right, will not be useful. The reason why tools like ChatGPT and a lot of the tools you see these days, right, are making a lot of impact is actually because a lot of the data they are using is useful, right? There's a lot of cleanup that is going on that data to ensure that, right, as the input goes into the system, the required or the expected output is what is coming out of the system. And so you realize that, data governance, data privacy, data quality are what I'll call the data foundation, right? Because if the foundation is faulty, every other thing you build on it, would not be good, right? It will eventually crumble. Just imagine you were on ChatGPT and you asked it a question and it was giving you something totally off, right? It will be annoying and you won't be encouraged, to go back to use it, right? So it's very important that data quality, data governance, and privacy are prioritized by data teams so that their solutions can have the right impact.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much. Volunteers, please, I'd like you to help us from behind. We are hearing the noise from there. So just help us ask people to lower the noise from behind, please. Thank you very much. All right, so my next question is to you, Nina. We're talking about data governance, management, privacy, and AI, but a lot of folks here are just hearing governance perhaps the first time. So it's a two-in-one question. First, I'd like you to just break down for us what data governance management is all about, and then what are the critical components for building a data governance framework in an organization.
Okay, thank you. What is data governance? So I'll use an illustration to kind of help us bring the picture home. Like Ayo had said, it's garbage in, garbage out. So picture a pipeline where data is entering. And they say data is the new oil. So let me even use that as an oil pipeline where data is coming through, and at the end, it's used for different things. It's refined, you have petroleum and all of that. Same thing, when you look at data, governance is the very foundation that helps you manage data effectively. So when we talk governance, we talk about the policies you set, the rules you set and enforce because you want data to be of quality, because you want data to be usable, you want data to be available, you want data to be secure and consistent throughout that pipeline. So governance, so there are rules, there are policies, there are processes, there are procedures. And I heard Beckley in the morning. In fact, he mirrored everything I said I would say here. When you look at process, people, and technology, you see those three pillars. That sums it all for governance, because governance is not only looking at the processes alone or the policies, but the people that are supposed to practice or execute these processes, the technology that supports the data, that brings or makes this data available or usable or used for processing and all of that. People, process, technology, using that to effectively manage data governance or data throughout its life cycle is what I will call data governance. So a data governance person is managing the people part, and I think I'll speak shortly to about the people part. So imagine they say data is the new oil, right? Hello, is data the new oil or the new gold? Okay, so imagine why is it the new oil? Because you can use it to gain insights that can help your company gain competitive edge or competitive advantage. You can use it for business productivity. There's a whole lot. And you can use it to make money, data monetization. I don't know if that's been discussed here at all. So there's so much you can do with data, right? But when it's not even, I was giving an example of how it can help you manage your costs. So picture that I have an AC, or in a company, for instance, I have air conditioners, I have different things. What would the insights as a business person or as an executive management, for instance, I like to see how I can manage my costs, bring down my costs, right? So if my maintenance is on a particular fixed asset is getting too high, it may be cheaper for me to discard that AC and buy a new one, right? But then if I don't have data to tell me that, I won't know, right? So now you want to go into your data to go for data to give you this story or help you make this decision. But you now see that the people that have entered the data have mistaken asset A for asset B. So if asset A is the one for servicing, when I'm entering the system, who cares? So they don't have an understanding of what these things are used for when they are entering data. And so they enter the asset number for B, that's the one to be maintained. Meanwhile, the one that really needs to be disposed is asset A. Imagine that coming to you as the data analytics person or the data science person. You'll be working based on what you have, but meanwhile, it is wrong from the get-go. And it can even throw you into bankruptcy and a whole lot of other consequences. So what are we even trying to say? It has to be right. The people that are entering this data need to know the end. They need to work with the end in mind while they are entering the data, right? So you don't see a case of dirty data, for instance. They understand, okay, this would help my performance, as a company, right? It will help us hit our bottom line, reduce our costs, increase revenue, and all the other things. So let me do the right thing, right, and enter it. So that's the people part. There are processes, there's a whole lot. I don't know. I just hope 30 minutes will be enough. But there are a whole lot of other examples I could have cited. But is my example clear? Yeah. So I think I'll just stop there.
Wow. Thank you so much. Let's put hands together for people, process, and technology. All right. So you're asking my next question. A lot of organizations, okay, let me not say a lot, some organizations do not practice effective data governance. and would want to believe that perhaps they're having some challenges. So, what would you say are some main challenges that organizations face when they're trying to implement a data governance framework, and how do you think they can solve them so they can have an effective data governance framework?
Yeah, so I think Nena has already, spoken to it in a sense, right? So when I think about it, I'll talk about people and just the technology part, right? But before I talk about that, one of the challenges that organizations will typically have is the fact that data governance isn't necessarily something that is tangible, for the lack of a better word. So analytics is tangible. If I finish an analytics project, there's an output I can see, right? So if I'm a data analyst, there's a dashboard, right? Or there's some insights that I'm going to give, maybe in PowerPoint, maybe not the dashboard, right? Or if I'm a data scientist, there's an ML model, right? If I'm an AI person, an AI model. So there's always something to show, right? It's tangible. But with data governance, not necessarily, or it's not something that is quickly apparent to people, right? Most times it's an afterthought. So you have cases where, for example, let me take this example. Imagine imagine you work with a company that is across the 36 states of Nigeria, and they've told you to do an analysis. And then you talk to maybe IT, and they give you an Excel file with all the details. Now, when you check the states column, there are two things that you can see that might frustrate you. Imagine you check the states column and it's completely empty. That's one, right? You won't be able to even do any analysis. Or imagine you check the states column. How many states do we have in Nigeria? Help me. 36, right? Fantastic. But imagine you check that column and you look for unique values and you are seeing 10,000 unique values. Now you know that this thing is going to frustrate you, because what it means is that instead of someone writing Abia, the person has written Aba. Instead of someone writing Lagos, the person has written Lags without the O, or someone has written Lagso, right? So you find out that people see governance as an afterthought, right? Many times, right? So the people collecting the data, they see it as an afterthought. They really don't care, like Nena just said. They really don't care. They just put in anything, right? As long as it goes into the system, they're fine. The systems too can be a challenge, because imagine if you're trying to fill something and the value you're trying to fill is not rightly placed. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, because it's happened to me several times. You're working with an app on your mobile phone, and then all of a sudden they ask for feedback. You were going to press maybe 5-star or something, but mistakenly, because of where the button was placed, you mistakenly pressed, you are not happy with the app, and then it has gone. There's nothing you can do. So you have those type of cases where even the systems are not well designed, right? And that itself can be a challenge. But I'll say one of the major issues is the fact that people see it as an afterthought. If people actually prioritize, data governance, data quality, you find out that they'll put in the right policies, enforce those policies. The systems would also be properly designed. Because and one of the things that's very important, and I'll end with this, is never rely on human, when it comes to systems, right? Never rely on humans. It is best to ensure that that system is robust enough, right, to disallow, the wrong values and duplicate values. If you assume that, the users are smart enough, they won't allow duplicate values, or the users are smart enough, they know what to put and what not to put, you find out that you run into issues, right, as an organization. So I just thought to add that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ewa. Thank you very much for that answer. So we've touched on governance, slightly a bit on quality. And so my next question, my final question will go to Nena, and it's really about the balance between innovation and ethics, right? In the financial space, for example, you want to innovate, but then you have to balance it with ethics, privacy, and all these constraints. So my question is, how do you advise organizations trying to seek a balance between being data-driven and also being ethical at the same time, right? That balance, how does it work?
Okay, thank you. You can use data for what you want to do, but when it comes to ethics, ethics says you have to do it ethically. You have to do it the right way. So when you think about ethics, what comes to mind is I can use my laid back Nigerian slang. You use your church mind. Even when no one is watching, are you doing it right? So ethics is about ideas of right and wrong. Do I trust it? Is it transparent enough? Am I responsible for that? So it look at responsibility, transparency, and all of that. So you can go to the skies, you can go to the moon, develop fantastic AI products, but you need to do so ethically. I work in a highly regulated industry, and let's even look at ethics as data now. You know, data represents people and maybe other things, but when you look at the customer domain, data represents people, your date of birth, your name, everything about you. You're probably coming to the bank to open an account, and I'm collecting these basic details about you. Ethics looks at respect for you as well. So if I take that data like I take you, then I should handle it with care. You know, this is ethics. I should handle it with care. I should prevent it from getting into the hands of unauthorized people. Now we're living in a day where identity theft is a thing. Like we witness it every day. Someone is calling, there's an OTP, call it out. Because he has all the pieces of the puzzle. He just did that one puzzle and he has stolen your identity and pretended you're. And you know, with these technology things, it's faceless, right? So you collect that data as an organization, you protect it. These are the private things that are coming to you. Protect it with utmost care, like you would. You know, when you even put yourself in other people's shoes, if you go to a hospital, for instance, and submit your data and another day you see the Akara woman with your information and all the things you have told them in secret, you know, being out there in open, how would you feel? So it's that same mindset, you know, that even everybody in the data space should have. How am I treating data? Yesterday I saw on Channels News, one of the newscaster, there was a deep fake. So they showed both actually on screen. They're just trying to harm Channels News. And this is another thing ethics is about. You want to maximize benefit to your customer, whoever it is, or the data subject, and minimize harm. Same thing with this same hospital. You know, we go to the hospitals in trust. Maybe you're going for a surgery. You trust that they would give you the right services, what you've come for, and all of that. And, you know, in the medical profession, they hold that ethics. We must, you know, minimize harm and ensure maximum benefit to that customer. It's the same thing with data. If your objective is to look for how to steal identities or harm people, then it is against data ethics. So we need to bear that in mind. All data professionals need to bear that in mind. Organizations need to bear that in mind. If I'm showing on my dashboards, I'm trying to pass a message, am I representing that message very well, or am I misrepresenting? Am I manipulating the scale so that they can either rejoice or, you know, I remember I once worked in an organization like that, where you know how the larger the scale threshold, it doesn't really show it in visible time. So say from 0 to 10, I have a line that goes this way, just slightly ascended, you know, and I reduce it to and expand the scale. So when you see it, it looks like a spike, you know, and the customer is shouting, "Hi, I'm either in trouble or oh, I've blown," you know, and all of that. So when you start to misrepresent what the data stands for, is against ethics. So as as a data professional, you want to, in your data sets, eliminate bias and anything that can point towards prejudged or prejudices. You want to make sure that there's respect. So think respect, think fairness, think beneficence, when you're building all those fantastic and lovely ideas. All right. So I think I'll
Wow.
stop there.
Yes, you have. Please, let's put the hands together for her, please. Awesome. It's quite unfortunate we have to wrap up now because our time is really far constrained. And I'm sure we will gain some things from this, just as I have. Key points for me are garbage in, garbage out. Your quality is very, very important. And then treat your data points as data events from people, real people, not just data, but real people, and then show respect, fairness, and ethics. All right, so on behalf of Data First team, would like to present a plaque to you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. Madam Nina, thank you very much. On behalf of Data First team, we say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir.